Good Saturday. Happy weekend, everybody. We are live here. Shay, Wolfie, and ladies and gentlemen, it's a special Saturday. We want to say happy birthday, Mama Wolfie. Happy birthday. Things are getting started. We're only a few minutes away. Get your coffee, get your toasties. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Good show today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, and happy birthday, Mama Wolfie. Welcome to Wolfie's Weekend Review, where we're going to take a look at some of the cases of the last week that had a big impact on the court watching community. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, we have some real interesting cases. We're going to start the morning off with Judge Boyd. And she's got a young lady in her courtroom who's very disgruntled about her situation. We're going to hear all about that. Then we're going to move on to a little bit of a sovereign citizen that visited Judge Webster earlier this week. Some of you may have seen that, but we're here to comment on this stuff today together, and we're going to finish things off with Judge Simpson in the case of a lady who, well, we'll see. It's interesting. And all that starts right now.
All right, O'Banion. You can come up.
Yes, but
All right, Ms. Abrams, on this one, they said that they had done a MIC evaluation. Thank you. We're going on the record in 2025 CR 0000451, State versus Leslie O'Banion. Could I have parties announced?
that's Dwight Chumley for Miss O'Banion.
Yes. All right, you entered a plea of no contest on May 12th of 2025. According to your plea bargain agreement.
May I give you this, ma'am? Miss Susan Boyd?
To what point, why are you giving me that?
It's my word.
It's your
for
what?
you, ma'am. It's for you, Judge. Thank you.
No, what is it for? That's what I'm trying to.
Motions that I did.
All right, so here's the thing, you've entered a plea, unless that's a motion to withdraw your plea, it's not appropriate at this time, okay? All right.
It's kind of is. But
Well, I mean,
I would just like to, I did the work.
It's
on it.
Your Honor, it's a
It's
writ of
okay.
habeas, it's a writ of habeas corpus.
It's a written motion to reduce state jail felony to misdemeanor.
All right, so the state jail felony is
And
not
writ
being,
of habeas corpus.
all right, the state jail felony is not being reduced to a misdemeanor. All right?
Well,
No, I
You know,
appreciate
because
it.
he's
No,
not
no.
really doing a job.
No. He's actually doing an excellent job for you.
I don't agree, but okay.
Well, I mean.
That's what I got. So that's what I got to deal with. So I signed up
Well,
probation.
no. Here's the thing, what I'm telling you, and this is what I want
Just
you to
would
hear
like to
me.
go home
I want you to hear,
on probation, and that's what I signed for Monday, right, Miss Boyd, Miss Leslie O'Banion? I signed for 3 years deferred,
Mhm.
so. I did my cap eval inside, so I'd like to be released to have probation, ma'am, thank you. That's what I find.
all right, so let me just tell you right now, that's not what you signed up for. What you signed up for is, there was a plea bargain that was entered into. And guess what happens with plea bargain agreements? I'm the person who sets conditions, and I'm sure your attorney told you that. So whether or not you're released today, it's really up to me. So that's where we are.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I don't know why people continue to think that everybody
I don't know
can.
why I thought
Here's the thing.
probation's outside the jail, and
All
it
right,
is.
so then what I'll do, if you're gonna continue,
No, ma'am.
if you want to continue to talk over me, then you can do so.
No, ma'am,
But you're
I
gonna
don't
be
wanna.
talking,
So I'm
but
sorry. please
you
forgive
are
me, ma'am.
going to be talking over me and talking by yourself. And what I will do is I'll just set this for another day. So
I'll quiet.
what I'm telling you is, I do not understand why everybody thinks that they can be an attorney without a license. If everybody could be an attorney, then guess what? We would not have gone to school for it. So,
God bless you, ma'am. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chumley,
Mhm.
thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am.
All right, so this is
Miss
what,
Judge Stephanie Boyd, please forgive me, and I'm sorry, I'm just miss my family very much. So I've been in for 410 days and I would like to see my family. It's my birthday this month. And I miss my family tremendously.
well, here's the thing.
So I
If you
love my
could, if
family
you
and they love
continue,
me.
if you continue to commit offenses, then that's not showing love for your family, because the reason why you're not with your family now is because you've
I've
committed an
been away
offense.
from my family and I've
And actually, the offense
suffered very much
the
inside
offense,
Air County Jail, ma'am.
the offense that you have committed is
Okay,
an
cool.
injury to the elderly or disabled
Wow.
person, bodily injury. And that person is an elderly person. So that's why you are here. And what I can tell you is, if I follow this agreement, you are not going back to that location. You're not going to be allowed to be around any of those persons. Do you understand? Maybe she understands, maybe she doesn't. All right, so defense, this is my concern.
Okay.
My concern, have you all both read the MIC evaluation?
I have
This is
PTSD.
my concern in here. In my concern, she says she doesn't have any mental illness diagnosis, demanded that those be taken off the records, and that she will not be taking medications once she's released.
I have PTSD trauma. I do have that, ma'am. I do not have bipolar. So that seems to be a problem. It's outdated information from when I was 28 years old. I'm 48. I'm gonna be 49 this year. So that's very old medical stuff that's out of date, ma'am.
All
So
right.
I'm sorry for that, but that is actually true. I have PTSD, I have anxiety, I have trauma. That's what I do diagnose.
All right, probation.
Thank you.
How are we going to handle this? She's saying that once she's released, she's no longer going to take her medications.
I
Is
actually
there
am.
any?
So I have insurance. I'm gonna see my doctor. That's what I told the lady on the Taco Bell, ma'am. So I'd like to finish that, and I'm sorry she didn't put that in there. There's miscommunication happening, and it's really important to me, ma'am.
Mhm.
I have insurance and I take very good care of my health. I actually have therapy set up for me already for when I'm released. I did that inside jail for the Rape Crisis Center. That's free therapy for me that I need. And I'm also going to go see my doctor and get on medication when I'm released. I take regular meds for myself and I take very good care of my health. I have health insurance. I'm on disability. So I plan on following up with my doctor I see currently in the Quarry Market. I have a doctor already. I have a pharmacy at Walgreens. So that is not actually true. I'm saying I have to follow up with my doctors on the outside where I take care of my health. And
All right, so
my mental health
probation,
is important to me.
how are we going to address this issue? How do you suggest we
So
address?
I'm gonna be taking meds. I will be complying with that. So that is not true, ma'am, and I'm sorry she wrote that. So
All
I
right.
wanted to clarify. Please forgive me, but that is important.
Thank you for your clarification.
Yeah.
Probation, how are we going to handle this?
I will be taking my meds. So
Judge,
I need to get them adjusted. Thank you. With the proper
Judge.
physician. Mine.
we can,
I take meds.
Get
inside
it.
their time.
we can get an authorization to obtain records to ensure that she is actually
Walgreens,
going
Lincoln
to.
Heights.
All right, just one second. So let me ask you something. Ms. O'Banion,
Yes.
it appears as though maybe you're not medically
They have
compliant
out of
with your
date.
medications. The reason why I say that is because you're not able to control yourself at all. You're speaking over everyone who is talking. I've asked probation a question. You keep interrupting her.
It's,
So
I'm not.
what,
gonna
let me do this. What do you want to say to me? I'm here to listen.
Ma'am, what's happened since I've been incarcerated is they have out of date information. So me trying to update somebody that has old information, like I said, on me when I was 28 years old is so out of date. It is. I'm 48 years old, ma'am. So I've changed my life. I went to prison in Plain State 10 years ago and I changed my life and that does matter. Okay? So I live a very good and healthy life for myself. I take care of myself and I support my own self. I'm a single woman. I live alone. I have a pet. And that's what I do. I support myself. I don't rely on a man. I take care of myself. And I've lived that way for a long time. I'm very strong, independent woman. That's the way my mom raised me. So I'm blessed to have that. You know, I pay my bills. And I always have a pet because I have trauma. I've groomed animals, I'm retired. And so I always have a fur baby, you know. I gave up my son for adoption. And, you know, this was something. I forgave my stepdad. I didn't report it. And I felt sorry for him. He's an older man. So it's my fault for that. There is issues there. He is crazy and he has broken my bones in the past, ma'am. I just didn't feel right about doing something against my family. So it's okay if they say I did something to him, and that's fine. So I apologize, but this is what really matters to me is I love my family and I miss my family very much. My brother has my car waiting for me.
They do not want to have any contact with you according to the police report. So
That's
I'm
fine.
not gonna allow you to
but
have
I've
contact
talked to
with
my brother inside jail,
all
and
right,
that's my brother. I have other family members, man, and he's married.
Okay.
So that's not my mama.
Okay.
And that I can still talk to my mother. That's my mom. She's married to my stepdad. I'm gonna not talk to my stepdad. That's the person, Danny. Okay, so that's one individual. So I'd like to clarify that. I'm not gonna already get in trouble when I'm not even released out and I have families. There is toxic issues there. So that is a problem with that man. He has issues. So I will not be seeing my stepdad, period. I can see my mom on my own. She can come to my apartment. And that kind of thing, same with my brother. But, and his wife and kids, the same applies. I'm not gonna be seeing my stepdad though. I've already decided that myself personally. So I'm a strong woman, you know, but I would love my other family. I'm not gonna not see them. They love me.
all right. Is there anything else you want to say?
And please forgive me, ma'am. I do take care of my health and I'm sorry that I've tried very hard because it's important to me to update people that had information on me. And it is important because that's about my health. And that's when somebody has old information that's not current, it needs to be updated, just like medical files, you know?
All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
And please forgive me, ma'am. I am a very respectful person.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm sorry for talking, ma'am, but
Oh, no, you can
This-
talk. I'm giving you time to talk right now. Is there anything else you want to say?
you can call me crazy and say that, but I
Oh,
do
no,
love
I'm
my
not gonna
family.
call- I will
I'm a
not-
very strong
I
woman.
will not call you crazy. Is there anything else
You
you want to
can.
say?
That's fine. I'm used
Well,
to
I
people
will tell
calling
you
me that.
this. I refuse to call you that.
Thank you. I don't like the stigma.
All right. So is there anything else that you
No,
want to say to me?
no, ma'am. And I think you're a very awesome judge. You're doing a great job. And you are. And thank you for helping me.
All right. Probation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Probation.
Yes, Judge.
How are we going to handle the fact that in the MIC evaluation, they're saying that she's not going to take her medications? What do you
So I
suggest?
am.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm giving you time to speak.
Yes.
I did not interrupt you. I let you talk for as long as you want to talk. So now it's someone else's turn to talk. So do not interrupt them. And I want you to hear me clearly and internalize what I'm saying. If you interrupt them, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to send you back to jail. We are not going to hear this and I will bring you back on Monday. Do you understand? All right, probation. How do you suggest we handle this?
Judge, I think we should probably get an authorization of release so that we can be in contact with the individuals that are taking or prescribing medication, her doctors.
Mhm.
We can do a referral for Center for Healthcare Services. I believe the MIC evaluation indicates that she is not eligible for DDRF.
Yes.
However, she is eligible for the MIC caseload, I believe. And we could put her on the MIC caseload.
Okay. Is there anything else you think she would need?
Would you like to send me to DRF instead?
Did not tell you, no more interrupting.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Never let me out. Send me to DRF. Go ahead. I pray every day.
Judge, I really can't think of anything else other than maybe, you know, a life skills course or moral recognition therapy or something like that.
Okay. All right, this is what the court is gonna do. Court is gonna sentence you to 3 years deferred adjudication. I'm sorry. 3 years deferred adjudication, regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs, $1,500 fine, time and money to run concurrent. I'm sorry, that will be probated. Take in consideration 2025 CC 000947. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. There's to be no contact with Danny Cox, Timothy O'Bannon. There's to be no contact with 14450 Old Frio City Road in Lytle, Texas, 78052.
Can't.
There's to be, she's gonna be placed on the MIC caseload. Referral to Center for Health Care Services. The defendant is to sign a release for mental health information. There's to be anger management course. TAP evaluation. That can be done out of custody, follow recommendations. Field visits 1 time per month until further notice. And there's to be no contact with minors. Probation, is there anything else?
Hate children.
I'm sorry, what?
Like any type of employment or SSI.
Yes. Proof of employment or SSI within 30 days of release, no employment as a home health care provider or with minors.
I hate to ask you to do this, Judge, but can you give me that address again?
Yes.
Does she live in Bear County? You live in Bear County?
I'm gonna probably be relocating, I think.
Well,
So I
be right-
reside here now, but I will be relocating and moving my.
You do live in
location
Bear County.
No,
Where do you live?
yeah, I live nowhere right now.
All right, so
I haven't decided, I'm gonna be leaving, so I'll relocate.
you're to remain in Bear County until the court approves you to leave Bear County.
Cool.
If
And I'll
you
be
leave-
hiring a realtor.
If you leave Bear County, what will end up happening is a warrant will be issued for your arrest.
I can relocate with probation.
All right.
To another city. Thank you.
Probation, is there anything else?
No, Judge.
Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
See,
All right, counsel, did you review the trial court certification with her?
yes,
And did you explain it to her?
yes,
And did she place her signature on the document?
yes,
All right, because this is plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. All right, thank you. State, make sure that you make the complainant aware of what has happened here today and that
Can I have a
there's
copy
a
of
no
my
contact
probation
order.
paperwork?
Okay,
Can I have a copy of probation paperwork?
you understand?
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
thank you.
My lawyer said it costs money. Well, that's hard.
All right, Ms. Abrams. She's to remain in custody until the TAP evaluation. Counsel, if you can approach, please. And do a TAP evaluation and a referral to felony drug court. All right, so, based upon what your client said as she was going through the door, I honestly don't think it would be safe for the community or for her to be released from jail now. So we're gonna do a TAP evaluation
Yeah.
while she's in custody,
Okay,
do a referral to felony drug court. And
Yeah.
felony drug court can potentially address any mental health
I
issues.
think that's wise.
And also, if you want, we can also do a referral to the mental health court, which is across
Yeah.
the way. And state, if you have no objections, if they decide to accept her, because they'll only accept them if they're not on probation.
Right.
If they decide to accept her and you're in agreement with it, we can do a motion for a new trial and I'll grant
Okay.
it so that she can be there.
And I would like to say, just some, Your Honor, I did have her psychologically evaluated. She was found competent.
Mhm.
And then these things are fluid, and I understand that, but she's never not understood what's going on. She has ideas of what she wants to see happen, but
Mhm.
I think she needs help, obviously, but she needs mental health. So,
And there's already a trespass order, a no trespass order in place with her family. I don't know if she understands that or
Right.
not, but.
thank you, Judge. Appreciate
My
your.
only concern while we're here is that if we move her across to the next health court, my understanding that that's out of custody instead of in custody.
Well, not necessarily. They'll see what is appropriate for her. So if they decide that there's some sort of mental health treatment that she needs to do inpatient, they'll do that.
That's what I prefer. I just wanted her to be like mentally clear to rejoin the community, I guess you could say, because I don't think she's safe enough to rejoin the community.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you, Judge. And be excused?
Yes,
All right,
thank
appreciate
you.
Let's back it up just one second.
Employment,
I'm gonna probably be relocating, I think.
Well,
So I
be right-
reside here now,
Okay.
but I will be relocating and moving my.
You do live in
location
Bear County.
No,
Where do you live?
yeah, I live nowhere right now.
all right, so
I haven't decided I'm gonna be leaving, so I'll relocate.
you're to remain in Bear County until the court approves you to leave Bear County.
Cool.
If
And I'll
you
be
leave-
hiring a realtor.
If you leave Bear County, what will end up happening is a warrant will be issued for your arrest.
I can relocate with probation.
All right.
To another.
Uh,
city.
probation, is there anything
Okay.
else? Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
See.
All right, counsel, did you review the trial court certification with her?
Yes,
And did you explain it to her?
yes,
And did she place her signature on the document?
yes.
All right, because this is plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. All right, thank you. State, make sure that you make the complainant aware of what has happened here today and that
Can I have a
there's a
copy of
no
my
contact
probation
order.
paperwork?
Okay,
May I have a copy of probation paperwork?
you understand? All right, thank you.
My lawyer said it costs money. Fuck that.
All right, Ms. Abrams, she's to remain in custody until the TAP evaluation. Counsel, if you can approach, please. And do a TAP evaluation and a referral to felony drug court. All right, so, based upon what your client said as she was going through the door, I honestly don't think it would be safe for the community or for her to be released from jail now. So we're gonna do a TAP evaluation while she's in custody,
Okay,
do a referral to felony drug court. And
Yeah.
felony drug court can potentially address any mental health
I
issues.
think that's wise.
And also, if you want, we can also do a referral to the mental health court, which is across
Yeah.
the way. And state, if you have no objection.
Well, so that was different. And I'm not quite sure what to say about that. She did say something about the lawyer costing a lot of money and, who cares about all that and stuff? Well, we're done with Judge Boyd for the time being. Oh, my Lord. And we're moving on to the illustrious Judge Webster, ladies and gentlemen. And this one, haven't seen it. This is a good one. Make sure you get your coffee, get settled in. We got about 30 minutes of crazy ahead of us, kids. And this is legendary crazy. It all starts right now.
Let's check in with Tracy Phillips. She is a pro se defendant in court security. Now, Miss Phillips, you're charged, we're not on the record yet, but Miss Phillips, you're charged with a tag violation, another form of tag violation, no liability insurance, and not changing your address. We are set for trial. Are you wanting to have a trial on that, Miss Phillips, or do you want to try to talk to the county attorney and come to a resolution? What's your plan on this, since you're representing yourself?
I'm sorry, I just assume be done with it. I mean, I can talk to the county attorney. I don't have an issue with that as well. I guess I'm not understanding why you don't have my change of address.
Well,
That
I
was
don't
done
get
over the
I don't
internet.
get that. I don't
Okay.
get that. It goes to Topeka Department of Revenue. It's for your
Well, it
driver's
was-
license.
Yes, well, it was brought in and should have been added to the long time ago when I first got the ticket.
Okay, but it's not like insure. Well, all right, we'll say that. Right now, we are on the record in 2023 TR 3395, State of Kansas versus Tracy Lynn Phillips. Jared Regier appearing for the state. The defendant, Ms. Phillips, appears in person and pro se. Ms. Phillips, I understand that you're wanting to represent yourself on this matter. Is that correct?
Well, I don't have a choice.
Well, you have had
Um,
the opportunity since November 8th of 23 to either
Yes, ma'am,
hire
I
an
did.
attorney
To
or
hire an
apply.
attorney. Nobody wants to take my case.
All right, and if you cannot afford an attorney, you've had
It's
the
not about not affording it.
You've
Because
had
I have
the
money to hand to an attorney. Nobody wants to take my case to deal with Butler County is the
All
problem.
right. The alternative, if you could not afford it, you could have applied for court appointed. Am I correctly understanding you to say, though, that you could afford it, you just couldn't find an attorney to take the case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
That's
And
exactly what
so,
I'm saying.
all right. And so you're going to represent yourself today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are
Is
we going by common law or admiralty law here?
well, we're going by statutory law in the state of Kansas.
And if
So
this is a trial, why is there no jury?
this is not a jury trial because it was set for bench trial. You didn't ask for a
Okay.
jury trial.
I didn't consent to any of this, but
All right. So you want to proceed with trial, or did you want to try to negotiate an outcome with the prosecutor?
I can speak with the prosecutor.
Well, I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm just trying to afford you the opportunity that an attorney would take if he
Yes, ma'am,
represented
I
you.
understand. I understand.
All right. So what is your wish? Do you want, if he's willing to talk to you and try, if he's willing to consider a negotiation, are you wanting to do that?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Regier, when I ask you this, I don't mean to suggest you have to, or that there'll be consequences if you don't. But as I said, I just want to afford the defendant the opportunity, but that's subject to if you want to do it. So do you want to take the time, or are you willing to take the time to visit with her, or do you think there's any productive outcome possible from that?
Your Honor, at this time, the state would request clarification from the court whether it is fine that the defendant is representing herself and has appropriately waived her right to counsel. Based off of prior statements made on the record today, there does appear to be, if the court will pardon the conjecture, a certain degree of ambiguity on that point, and the state would be requesting a formal finding on the record, which would appear to be most procedurally appropriate.
All right, is the officer still there with you, Miss Phillips?
I am.
Mhm.
Could you provide her with a written waiver of counsel to read?
I can.
Thank you. Let me know when she has that. Basically, Ms. Phillips, I believe you'll find it to be a brief written statement for you to look over to make sure that you understand your rights concerning an attorney and that you know them and that in spite of the rights, you want to waive them and proceed.
Oh, well, I can
But you-
already tell you, no, I don't want to. I'm not going to do that.
You're not going to waive your right to an attorney?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Then what are you going to do? I don't see an attorney.
No, ma'am, you don't, but that doesn't stop me from speaking with the DA if he is more than willing to.
Well, he doesn't want to do it until he makes sure that you are knowingly waiving your rights.
Because then I'm
Um,
giving up a right to speak. Ugh, that makes no sense, Your Honor. Truly.
Independent of whether you
If you
talk to
want-
him
if
or
you-
not. Do
I'm sorry?
you want it, regardless of whether you talk to him or not, do you want an attorney?
Well, he said himself, he didn't want, he wasn't willing to until I signed this waiver,
That's right,
waiving my
because,
right. He
because
didn't want to speak to me until then.
if you're going to go out and get an attorney, he has to ethically go through the attorney. And that's why he is following his conscience on the ethical issue
Okay.
and his obligations.
This whole thing is an ethical issue, ma'am. See,
You're muted. Deputy, why is she muted?
That was me. I just explained to her what this waiver meant so that the attorney could talk to her.
All right, well, be careful giving her legal advice. I think it could,
it
I am.
wasn't. It was very simple.
I just tell her
It
about the
was
form.
layman's terms.
okay.
You need me
Well-
to sign this?
Yes, put your name there and sign it there for me.
Only if you believe
Do I
you
need-
understand. Ms.
Yep,
Phillips?
I understand. Do I need
Oh.
to sign it in my straw man name or my birth name?
Well,
real.
your legal name.
Well, because that's two separate things.
Your legal name is separate from what?
The straw man that the government has created, which is what's on my driver's license.
That's not the name your parents gave you that's on your driver's license?
No, that's not grammatically correct. That is not my given name on my driver's license.
All right, what name did your parents give you?
Tracy Lynn Phillips.
All right, and that's on your birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's not the name on your
The
driver's
one the
license?
government created.
That's not the name on your driver's license? Tracy Lynn Phillips
No,
is not
it's
the name?
not. It's not the same one.
All right, what's the name on your driver's license?
Tracy Phillips.
Just Tracy Phillips? They took off the
That isn't, the
Lynn?
one on the driver's license is not grammatically correct, ma'am.
All right, how is it not correct?
It's all in capitals.
Oh,
That's
I
not
see.
grammatically correct.
I see. Okay, I see where we're going. All right,
So I need to know, ma'am, am I supposed to put the one that's in all capitals? That's on my driver's license
I want
on
you-
here? And then
I want
sign
you-
it
Miss,
as the entity to Tracy
I'm
Lynn
about ready
Phillips?
to run out of my patience with you. You need to settle
Okay.
down.
I'm
and
just
be
asking a question. I'm
You're-
just
you're-
asking a
You're
question.
disrupting no, you're not. You're not
I'm
just
not
asking
disrupting
questions.
anything. I simply asked a question.
Look, Miss Phillips, you see that officer sitting next to you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you know I have the authority to tell him to put you into custody until you're ready to cooperate? Now, I don't want to do that, but you're being
I don't-
belligerent and difficult in this court's opinion.
I don't understand what you're wanting from me. I'm really not being difficult.
All
I
right,
simply
I want
asked-
you to
I
stop
simply asked-
talking for a moment. And I want you to tell me, did you read the form in front of you?
Yes, ma'am, I did read the form.
And you signed the form? No, you haven't signed it because you don't know what
I have
name
it
to use.
because I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to, what name am I supposed
I
to add
want
the one
you
that's in
to
capitals?
sign, I want
or
you to
mine.
sign your legal name.
Put your first name up here, or your name up here.
Deputy, please don't help her. I know you mean well, but I'm afraid that it could become a problem for you and her and me both. or all
I just
three.
showing her to where to write her name in the slot. So
I know, but I don't think you ought to be doing that. Thank you. I know you
There you
mean
go.
well. All right. So do you have any questions about the document you just signed?
No, ma'am, I do not.
All right. And you do know that you can hire an attorney? Yes or no?
I understand.
And do you understand if you could not afford an attorney, you could apply and see if one could be appointed? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
And knowing that those two facts, you are waiving your right to counsel and representing yourself today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to counsel today on the record, both in writing and in oral fashion. Now, with that being said, Mr. Regier, I'll just open it up to whether or not you want to attempt any kind of negotiation with her, or if you want to proceed with the trial that we have scheduled and the witness that you have subpoenaed and appears today.
Your Honor, at this juncture, what I would tell the court is that for purposes of resolving this case short of trial, if the defendant pleads as charged to all charges, the state would be prepared to recommend non-reporting probation. The state does not have anything further to add at this time. The state would further be recommending, in addition to non-reporting probation, underlying sentences, court costs, and fines.
All right, Ms. Phillips. That's all he's going to say to you. Apparently, he's not going to meet with you privately,
That's fine.
but he is saying that he would recommend non-reporting probation if you plead as charged. So how do you want to proceed?
No,
Do you want to,
I'm sorry.
you want to proceed with your trial then?
Yes, ma'am.
Very well. Are there any
I don't
opening
agree with that.
statements? You don't agree with his offer?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Okay.
I would like to ask the officer if he has video of that day
Judge,
of me
Judge,
driving.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you're getting ready to start a trial here.
Let me go on the recess in Phillips. Mr. Cooper, go ahead. Now, we'll be back on the record in 2023 TR 3395, State of Kansas versus Tracy Lynn Phillips. All parties appearing as before. Jared Regier for the state. The defendant, Tracy Lynn Phillips, in person and pro se, having signed a waiver of counsel and orally waived right to counsel as well, both on the record. And we are ready to start the bench trial with Master Trooper Kane ready to testify, it looks like. But before he does, any opening statement, Mr. Regier?
Judge, can I say one
Yes.
thing? She took back that.
Go ahead, Deputy.
She took back that waiver, so that makes a difference.
All right, where's your attorney? Who's going to represent you?
We've already discussed that.
Well, you signed a written waiver. What do you mean you take it back? Do you mean you want to proceed with an attorney? You either have an attorney or you don't, Ms.
I don't know,
Phillips.
Your Honor.
Yes.
This whole thing, I don't even know what to do. I have tried to hire an attorney. I do not want a court appointed. Was thrown under the bus last time. I don't even understand why I have this ticket to begin with.
Well, an attorney could help with that.
It's ridiculous.
But you have, I don't recall you gave me any indication before that we were going to have the issues today that we're having.
Because I was never allowed to say anything. There were issues, case in point, going to jail twice on a warrant, Mr. Reiger, that wasn't me. Quite obviously.
Is this still the same case that you said initially back in, a couple of years ago, it wasn't you?
Why I was initially here when I saw you the first time? Yes, that most certainly wasn't me. I'm not a 6-foot black man.
Okay, all right, Ms.
Apparently,
Phillips,
that's
we
what
need
it
to get on
says.
with, we
That's what
need to
it
get
says on the
on with
warrant.
things.
That's what it says on the warrant.
We need to get on with this hearing one way or the other. You have waived your
I'm
right
gonna
to
find an
counsel
attorney
now.
then.
Well, you will if I continue this to allow you to do so, because this case has gotten some age on it. It's a
Ma'am, it has.
2023 case.
Yes,
It's a 2023 case. Now, don't talk over me.
to soon be done
Stop.
with it.
Stop. It's a 2023 case, and you failed to appear several times.
No, I did not,
And then-
ma'am. I did not fail to appear.
And we've been through this issue of the attorney for a while now. And by the way, I do show you failed to appear September 4th, 2024, and this is not open to debate or further discussion on that issue. The court's taking judicial notice of its own records. Now, you've had the first appearance September 4th, if you'd been here, but we weren't able to get you here until January 8th. And you told us you were going to hire an attorney, but that you were unable to find one, apparently. And there was discussion about you filling out an application for court appointed. So all of this, and that was back in January, and then we were going to come back in March, and we did. And that's when it was set for bench trial. But Mr. Regier, is this the continuation of that first case? Because the notes aren't gelling with what I recall in that other case.
One moment, Your Honor.
I think that was this 2019 case that was dismissed. Well, she was dismissed with one count of guilty to speeding, maybe.
What?
Ms. Phillips, one of us may be confused on this, because I show that you had a 2019 TR 1413. You were operating a motor vehicle without a valid license. That charge was dismissed in exchange for your plea of guilty to speeding.
No.
Well, that's what your record says. And
No.
that's what I'm thinking, that maybe you're running the two together. But anyway, Mr.
I
Regier,
never pled on that case.
All right, well, maybe you were found guilty at trial, but it looks like you
No,
pled.
it never went to trial. Mr. Riger was supposed to wipe that one and the other one off because it was obvious that it wasn't me. I have never lived in Topeka in my life.
All right.
That's the one you're talking about.
Mr. Regier, I'm ready to go to trial.
Your Honor,
Are you ready?
Your Honor, I believe the court had previously made reference to Butler County 19 TR 1413. The state's records indicate that there was a plea of guilty in 2019 to one count of speeding. And the state, what I would also tell the court is, in the current case, actually on the docket today, 23 TR 3395, the state is prepared to proceed to trial.
All right.
And Your Honor, as a preliminary matter, is the court finding that the defendant has revoked her waiver of counsel in light of the statements on the record?
Well, I tell you, we've been all over the board on that, Miss Phillips.
I don't even have the 19.
Miss Phillips,
Yes,
this is your final answer that I'm wanting here. We're
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
stick with it. Are you waiving your right to an attorney,
No,
or
ma'am,
are
I'm
you
not.
not?
No,
All
ma'am.
right, now, you said you've talked to attorneys, none of them will take your case in
Yes,
Butler
ma'am.
County. What can you tell me that will be different if I continue this to allow you to find an attorney, if none of them will work in Butler County?
I'm gonna go across the street. and speak with the one attorney that I haven't spoken with. And we'll more than, I'm sorry,
Who will that be?
Gail Jensen.
Does he expect you today?
No, ma'am, he does not.
And do you have any reason to believe he would take your case? Because I understood he was retired or trying to be retired.
Can I give you a guarantee that he will?
I'm not asking
Take
for
my
a
case.
guarantee. I said, do you have reason to believe he'll take your case?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yeah, oh, yes, ma'am. I do.
Okay, you have a history or something that may with him that makes you think that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what if he says no? Then what will you do?
Well, then I will get a recommendation from him. And if I show up next time without an attorney, well, then you can just throw me in jail.
Miss Phillips, I just have a hard time believing.
Ma'am, I am frustrated by this whole thing. The whole thing. Mr. Ryder, I don't know what this 19 case is, where I supposedly pled guilty to
Well, you're
speeding.
not gonna have a conversation with
None
him.
of this makes any
Stop.
sense to me. Oh, my
Miss Phillips,
gosh. I have to,
I really don't want to have that officer take you out to the jail, but
it ain't gonna happen.
oh, it might. Okay. Now, Mr. Radier, we've been at this for so long now. Looks like the original case was open November 16th of 23, but the ticket was issued November 8th of 23. And I'm not sure if this is the first time Trooper Kane has been subpoenaed in here or not. Because we
But I
did
would-
have,
What I would tell the court, Your Honor, is that today's setting does appear to be the first bench trial setting in this matter.
all right. So are you not objecting to the continuance? Or were you just stating a fact?
The state is merely stating a fact, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have an objection?
Your Honor, I think the court has already made its concerns about the age of this case and timely reaching a disposition. It would appear the defendant has made certain statements about, I guarantee, to use her words, that she will have Mr. Jensen represent him in this case. I have no personal knowledge to any communications they may not have. But again, in light of the age of the case, as well as the defendant's statements on the record, the state does believe a timely administration of justice is especially appropriate in this matter. And the state did issue its subpoenas for the presence of the officer. The officer has taken time out of his schedule to appear here today. And absent any other concerns the court may have, I will tell the court the state is prepared to proceed to trial. But again, acknowledging a defendant's right to counsel in these types of situations, but I'm not sure how the court wishes to reconcile that in light of the prior procedural history of this case and the statements made by the defendant on the record here today.
Well, I don't want to repeat. If I continue this, I don't want to repeat it today. I don't want to hear Miss Phillips. I want you, I don't want you to come in and use the excuse that no attorney will come to Butler County, because they do it all the time. I know they will. And I don't want you to sign a waiver. I don't want you to tell me you waive and then you take it back. You either are going to, this is your last chance, you're either going to get an attorney or we're going to proceed, because you have had since 2023 to get an attorney. And you said you have the money to do it. You said you don't want to use a court-appointed attorney. You said something about last time you didn't apparently like the results of the last court-appointed attorney, maybe. But I'm not quite sure I'm catching everything you're throwing out there. So at this time, very reluctantly, I will continue this bench trial. Because yes, you're entitled to have an attorney, but you are not entitled to use it willy-nilly back and forth to delay proceedings or anything of that sort. So, Jenna, when's our next available bench trial?
Your Honor, I have July 16th.
Okay. We'll put it on July 16th at 1:30.
Your Honor.
Yes,
The
Michelle.
defendant is holding some paperwork in her hands. Can she read the case number off of that? I don't know if she's referring to the same case about being arrested.
Oh, okay. Do you have another case you've been here on besides the two we've mentioned today, Ms. Phillips?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's that case number?
Yep, bear with me, please.
Sure.
Your Honor, while she's looking, the 16th of July will not be good for me.
Okay, thank you for telling me then.
Anytime after.
All right. Jenna, that we can't do that. If you can give me another date, please.
Oh, we can do July 23rd as well, Your Honor.
Will that work?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
did that go? All right. Ms. Phillips,
Yes, ma'am.
please take note. Please take note. Disregard July 16th and take note.
Okay.
Your trial will be July 23rd at 1:30.
Okay.
All right. And at this time, I'm going to let you go, Trooper, unless for some reason you particularly want to stay around.
I appreciate it, ma'am. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
I believe this is case number 23 TR 2386.
Oh, that
I believe.
I don't know why that does not show up on the Odyssey history, but that sounds more like the time frame of when you were here before.
And Your Honor,
Yes, Mr. Regier.
what I do show from my notes is that that case was last taken up by the court on December 11th, 2024. And the court did remove this case from the docket at the state's request.
Okay, and was that the speeding one?
No, that one was back in 2019. The one he's talking about was in 23, and that was speeding 91 in a 75, no insurance.
Yeah, because that was the one that.
And no driver's license
Yeah,
from
that
July
was the
12th
one.
to 23.
Yes, ma'am, because that was the one that wasn't me, because I have never not had a driver's license. I've always had one. That was the one that was supposed to have been dropped because
Well,
it's not me.
And that's another one that on August 26th of 24, you failed to appear and a $2,000 cash or surety bench warrant was issued.
Yes, ma'am, because it's not me. Quite obviously.
All right.
Because on the warrant, there's a description
Your Honor,
of who they were looking for.
date of birth on this citation for that case that
Your
we're.
Honor, state would object at this time. This is being broadcast over YouTube. The state would have certain concerns about broadcasting personally identifiable information.
Gonna say the year.
I'm sorry, Michelle, what was that?
The year of birth on this is 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
So
would
you're
make 25.
Are you saying on the 23 case?
Yes.
Okay, that's probably why the state dismissed it. And now we've got this case.
Okay, so
The 23 case is still pending.
It is still pending. Does it have a docket date?
No.
All right, Mr. Regier, what's the state planning to do with that case? Are you dismissing it?
Your Honor, the state is still in the process of reviewing that case. What I would tell the court is, per the state's request at the last hearing in that case, the state did request that that matter be specifically taken off the court's docket, and the court did grant that request.
Well, you may be looking at speedy trial on the 23 case. But I do know that the defendant had several, as I was looking at the docket notes, she did have at least a couple of failures to appear. And I remember she herself was here telling the court that it was not her. Well, Mr. Regier, we can't just leave the case sitting in limbo. We need to either get it on the docket or get it dismissed. What do you want to do? We could set it on that same docket that we're setting this one, July 23rd, if you want. And then we can resolve it one way or another.
No objection to setting that case on that same date if that is the court's order, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Phillips, you might tell Mr. Jensen we have 2 cases on that docket.
Yep.
Give him that 23 case, and I'm going to set that for trial too, Mr. Regier. So have your witnesses ready for that if you're going to go to trial.
So the 23, I'm sorry, the 23 case, when you say 23, you mean 23 TR 2386? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently when it was taken off the docket, the state did not put it back on the docket, and it's just been kind of sitting out there.
Okay.
Running the clock, as they say. So
So
I'm going to put it, I'm putting it on July 26th or 23rd at 1:30 also.
Yeah. Okay, so was this failure to appear on that speeding?
You've had failures to appear on both of the pending cases. In this case that we came to court on today, 23 TR 3395.
Yeah, that was the one I was never served a subpoena on because I showed up. I was here on the date on the ticket.
Hold up. I'm going to answer your question.
Yes, ma'am.
September 4th, 2024, you failed to appear for first appearance and a bench warrant issued. Then you were present January 8th, 2025, and that's when there was a discussion about you would hire an attorney, etc. So you had one failure to appear there. Now, then March 17th, we set it for bench trial. So you had one failure to appear, it looks like in this case. Now, if you go back to that 23.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, interrupt you.
Wait a minute. I'm going to answer your question, and you're going to give me time to do it. BU 2023 TR 2023 TR 2386. A suspension notice, by the way, was sent to Kansas Department of Revenue, so you better be checking your license before you drive. I don't know how you came to court today, but don't go driving if your license is suspended, as it looks like it probably is. Now, in that case, you were charged and are still charged with speeding 91 in a 75, driving without insurance, and driving without a license on July the 12th of 23. And then the failures to appear included March 15th of 24, or I'm sorry, March 25th of 2024, you failed to appear and a bench warrant was ordered. July 3rd, 24, you were here, said you were going to hire an attorney. We set the matter for August 26th. August 26th, you failed to appear a second time and another bench warrant with an increased bond. Then December 11th, 2024, the case was called. And I don't have any indication that you or your attorney were here. And that's the hearing where Assistant County Attorney Jared Regier asked that we remove it from that day's docket. And apparently it just, as I said, just kind of has been hanging around out there ever since. So I'm putting it back on the docket. I'm setting it for trial the same day as the other case. And so with that being said, now then, Ms. Phillips, what did you want to say?
I honestly don't even remember, Your Honor.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay, well then I don't think we have anything else we need to take up today. Anything else, Mr. Regier?
From the state's perspective, Your Honor.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
Your Honor. This is Jenna and Destiny. Can I have a breakout room with you and Mr. Regier real quick?
Before I adjourn?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll do a sidebar, basically. Well, it's not a sidebar if the defendant's not there. It's not an appropriate one. All right, let's take a quick one, but I'm. Is it concerning this case?
It is, there's a few issues, Your Honor, and I believe that they need to be taken up in a breakout room instead of.
Well, I'm not comfortable with that because the defendant has a right to be present at all stages of the proceedings. So I think you may have to just go out on a limb and state what it is that, because if it concerns this case, I can't have any one-sided conversations without both parties.
Well, it concerns the 2023-2386, not necessarily the case we have on the docket today.
Well, I still have the same rules for that case as I do for this one.
And Your Honor,
A judge can't have one-sided conversations with one party over the other. And I know, Mr. Regier, you wouldn't do that either. So what is your thought, Mr. Regier?
Your Honor, may I request a brief 5-minute recess?
All right, I'll give you a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
We're back on the record in 23 TR 3395, also 23 TR 2386, each captioned State of Kansas versus Tracy Lynn Phillips. Jared Regier still appearing for the state. Tracy Lynn Phillips still appearing in person and pro se. Mr. Regier, you wanted a recess. Is there any announcement at this time?
Your Honor, at this juncture, the state does not believe that a sidebar would be appropriate. While the court clerk is certainly can provide whatever information the court clerk may wish to the court, the state understands that the court clerk is not a party to this case, and therefore the state, and under these particular circumstances, the state does not believe a sidebar would be procedurally appropriate.
All right. So is there anything else we need to address, Mr. Regier, before we adjourn?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor.
Ms. Phillips, anything else we need to address before we adjourn for today?
No, ma'am. I do believe
No.
and I will be back with an attorney. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
We are adjourned.
Your Honor, if I could stay and talk with you.
Well, depends on what it's about, but
I
yeah.
understand. Yeah, I can say it here. That's perfectly fine. I'm not sure. Are we still
Barb?
doing the 2023 case 2386 on the same date as well?
Yes.
Okay. I only have a problem with that as the defendant does not match, not by description of driver's license.
Well, we'll bring that up, but that'll be a trial issue then.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be an issue for trial if the.
And it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And Your Honor, may I withdraw from the Zoom conference?
I think we all can. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Your Honor.
Well, I'm not withdrawing from the Zoom conference. I'm right here. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going from Webster to Simpson. And where that was a spicy trial, this is a spicy trial too. Got about an hour to go in this. Young lady is accusing a defendant of violating probation orders. All of it starts right now.
TNA District Court for County of Washington, State of Michigan is now back in session. The Honorable Judge. You may be seated. Court does call the case.
case of the people versus Jason Stevens.
First Assistant Public Defender Clint Anderson, with and on behalf of Mr. Stevens, Your Honor, submitted a form he's requesting to have the Public Defender's Office appointed.
Okay, your name, sir?
Jason Stevens.
All right, and is that correct, sir? You're wishing?
Yes.
All right. All right, this is a public defender case. I have, yes, Ms. Valerico.
Your Honor, I was just going to state for the record that Mr. Stevens is before the court today for a violation of probation hearing. There is an alleged violation of the contact order dated April 25th, 2025. Probation did provide the court with this report for that incident. I think we can approach before we begin.
Yes. All right. And
And Your Honor, the victim, Kashmir Morley, is present should the court.
yes, well, I have the report. And I guess, Ms. Morley, if you could come forward to the podium, please. Can you state your name, please?
Kashmir Morley.
All right. Can I have her sworn, please?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Kashmir Morley.
All right, Ms. Morley, the report that I have in front of me indicates that Mr. Stevens appeared at your place of work and waited in line to speak with you.
Those are two separate events, but that's correct.
What do you mean they're two separate events?
There was a workplace event where he showed up at my place of work, and then when he was waiting in line to come to me, it was to a networking event that I was putting together, that I was hosting.
Okay. So, well, now, I mean, I'm looking here and it just says Stevens appeared at Morley's place of work, waited in line to speak with you. When you refused to have contact with him, he waited around the venue for 10 more minutes before leaving. So now you're telling me, that sounds to me like that what they're describing to me is one event, but you're saying there are two. When was, okay, which one occurred first?
The workplace event. That was in March.
And where do you, the workplace event, where he came to your place of work?
Where do I work?
Well, in March, you're saying he came to your place of work. Where do you work?
I put some hours in at the Ann Arbor Art Center.
Pardon?
The Ann Arbor Art Center.
Okay. So, and that was on March.
Probably would have been mid-March sometime.
And that's kind of where you would work every day?
Not every day, but I'm part-time there, so I'm there frequently.
Okay. In your mind, did he have a purpose for coming there? If he was there?
It was my understanding that there was, excuse me, I have allergies going on today. There was an exhibition, I think, that he was supposed to help out with. That's as far as I know. But the times that he showed up, there was nothing work pertaining going on, according to the people that I spoke with.
So where he shows up there and then what does he do vis-a-vis you?
One of the people that I work with said that they saw him just wandering around the building, not really with a purpose, and nobody knew who he was or why he was there.
Okay, did he see you?
No, I didn't see him. And I don't think he
did not see him.
Mm-mm. But I knew he was in the building because of the email correspondences that were going on.
What email correspondence?
In the workplace, I'm on like an all staff email chain. And so I was told that he was going to come into the building for an exhibition.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you're told via this email that he's coming into the building. And at least according to that work email, he was entering that place for some legitimate purpose.
The email said that he had showed up. Nobody knew who he was, but apparently he was putting on an exhibition. So they were talking about him coming randomly out of nowhere and saying that he was there for an exhibition. So they were discussing that. And then the email said that there was an exhibition to take place in March that apparently he was supposed to be a part of, but nobody knew who he was or why he was there. That was the email.
Okay. Yes, sir. If nobody knew who he was, did they know his name?
Well, I'm sure he's probably told them his name because they said his name in the email, but in the correspondence, they said they didn't know who he was at the time that he appeared.
Do you have copies of those emails?
Not with me, no.
Do you have access to copies of them?
I could probably get some, yeah.
And then the other event took place, what was that, May 5th?
That was April 25th.
April 25th was the second thing?
Mhm.
Okay, and where did that allegedly happen?
I was hosting a networking event at Venue by 4M in Ann Arbor. And he appeared and he stood in line and I was checking people in and he stood in line so that I could check him into an event that I was hosting and stood longer in line than he did at the actual event.
So you're hosting an event?
Mm-hmm. Me and the crew of other people, but I was on the hosting committee.
So he comes there, or do you?
Mm-hmm.
Would he, in going to the event, would there have been another way, assuming he's there, that he would have been able to access the event without checking in with you?
That was the only way, was to go through me. And I was an organizer on the event. So if you were paying attention to the event at all, my name was all over that. There was no way you couldn't have known that I was part of it.
Okay, but I could know that you're part of an event, can go to an event, avoid you, but prior to coming to the event, would he have known that you were at the desk or wherever it needed to be checked in?
I don't know if he knows that or not, but he had at least 10 minutes waiting in line to get to me to turn around and leave the event. And he chose to come and approach me instead.
Okay, so when he approached you, what did he say?
He said good morning and tried to have me check him in. We have a no contact order, so I didn't speak to him. And the person next to me who was helping check people in then took over because she didn't know the situation and checked him into the event. And he stayed less than 10 minutes and left at a networking event.
Okay, so he comes to the event. So it's not a circumstance where you're the only one checking people in. Correct. There's somebody else there.
Sitting right next to me. Yep.
Okay. So he comes up, he says, good morning. Is that the only thing he said to you?
He tried to have conversation at the desk and I didn't have anything.
Have conversation?
He checked himself in and then started talking about a hat that he was wearing and started trying to have conversation with me. And then when I didn't say anything, the woman next to me ushered him into the event and he wasn't signed up for this event either.
Well, did you have to be?
You were supposed to be, yes.
Okay, but did you have to be?
We were letting people in anyway, but that was not the intent. Because it was the first event that we were throwing.
So those are the two events.
Mhm.
So are you claiming that there are any other events that took place?
I'm here because of the April 25th event.
Okay. Are you claiming that there are any other events of contact? Okay. So in mid-March, after, let me, just so that I'm correct, mid-March, he never comes in eye shot of you, right?
That's correct.
All right, and so you don't see him.
Mhm.
The April event, it's basically a public event,
Mhm.
right? He's entering, and you're saying he said good morning. You didn't check him in. And then you're saying he tried to engage you in conversation, but that didn't happen.
No, with me, I mean, he spoke, but I didn't speak. And then the person next to me who was helping me check people in took him into the event.
Okay, after that event, or right at that point, did you contact the police at that point?
No, because I was there checking people in, and it was also our first event, and I didn't really feel comfortable having the police come to this event right when we were starting to host things, so I didn't know what to do.
Okay, so when did you contact the police about this?
I believe it was the following week. It might have been the week after. I can't remember the exact date. But I was speaking to the probation officer and she told me to file a police report, which is what I did.
Okay, but here's what I'm indicating, or trying to figure out. This occurs April 25th, which would have been a Friday,
Mhm.
right? Approximately what time?
The event ran from 8:30 to 9:45. So I think probably around 8:45, 9 o'clock is when he showed up.
All right. And the event ran how long that day?
Until 9:30
Till 9:30 PM?
AM.
AM. So from 8:30 to 9:30 was the event. It's basically an hour.
Mhm.
Okay.
It might have been 9:45, 9:30, 9:45-ish is when it.
Okay, that's fine. So it didn't go all day.
Correct.
And then so when did you then contact the police about this?
It was either the following week or the week after. I can't remember the exact date.
Would May 7th?
I'm not sure of the exact date, sir.
Have you read the police report on this?
No, I have not.
Jordan, would you like me to give her my copy?
Yeah, if you could, I'd just like her to read the victim statement.
Okay.
Is that statement correct?
No, this is not correct. This is jumbling the events together, and it's also not what happened.
I'm just talking about the victim statement.
Mhm.
How is it jumbling the events together?
It says that this is the second time that he tried to speak to me. He just tried to speak to me when he came into the event. There wasn't like a time he came back to talk to me. And also placing a hat on so that no one would recognize him. That's not how that occurred.
Okay, so how big was this event?
There was probably 100 people there.
Okay, so he went into the event, he didn't stay long and then left.
He waited longer in line to check in than he did at the event. Than he was at the event.
Okay, it's the second time you said that. So what am I supposed to take from that?
That he waited in line longer to get to me than he actually stayed at the event. If he was there for work, for networking, I don't know why you would say there to network.
How many of these events have you done, say, this year?
This was the first one we had this past April.
Okay. How often are you at your part-time job?
20 hours a week.
Okay. So other than this March date, I'm just talking this year at this point. Has he come into your work?
Not that I know of. I have not seen him.
Okay. And then after July of 2024, were you also participating in events?
I was not hosting them, but I was going to networking events. Yes.
So you did, so this is the first event you hosted.
Correct.
Whole encounter between you and him on April 25th is phrase it. How long was that encounter?
Him speaking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Probably like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, and I guess not that I've made a finding, what do you want the court to do?
Something so this doesn't keep happening. I'm sick of being contacted by him.
Okay, so ma'am, you've only told me of one incident.
This is at least the third time I've called the Ann Arbor precinct about no contact violations.
But
Your Honor, I believe that she's referencing the two others that was well on that.
that were from, that I've already addressed because these were sentenced after.
Correct. That's what I believe, and I'm, okay.
You're correct.
It was a December 8th and January 5th.
All throughout the time.
December 8th of 2023 and a January 5th of 2024.
The time period between December and then July, there were emails, there were letter he left in my mailbox. There was dozen times.
Right, I recall all that, ma'am. But the reason I'm using the July date is because that's when he was sentenced, right? And you're saying that so between July and this July of 2024 and the April date, has he been in contact with you?
He drives by my house all the time and says he's going to his rental unit.
One thing I remember about this case, is I think he has a rental property in the same neighborhood that you're in.
I
'Cause we had
would like to
deal
know the
with
address of that, but yes,
What?
I'd like to know the address to it, but yes, that's what he's claimed.
Well, I don't think that was ever disputed at the time of sentencing, that he has a rental property up that way. And that he would go to the, we had a whole discussion about it.
Mm-hmm. Does he need to park in front of my house to get to his rental unit?
It's like right there. I mean,
If it's on the same street, it doesn't mean he needs to park in front of my house to get there.
So how many times are you saying that happened?
Countless times.
When that happens, does he engage you in any way? Does he heads off someplace else? He heads
No,
off
he
to
sits in his car. He doesn't head anywhere else.
So when that happens, did you call the police?
Yes.
When?
I called the police as early as this week when that happened. Like Monday.
Hold on.
And they told me there's nothing that they could do about it because it's a public street.
So what day did you call the police about this?
About the April event?
No, about April event, you didn't contact him till May 5th. But about him being out in front of your house.
Monday.
This past Monday?
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? They did nothing?
He told me there's nothing that he could do because he had left by the time that they got there. And then he said it was a public street. So even though I had photos, it didn't matter. That's what he told me.
Did you show the officer the photos?
No, he didn't want to see them. He said it didn't matter.
What time did you call there on Monday?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.? So other than that, when you call the police, have you contacted, you're saying, you're using phraseology like all the time and those kinds of things. And I'm trying to figure out where you're saying he's in front of your house. Other than this past Monday, right? Have you called the police about him being there?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
Probably between 5 and 10 at this point. I don't know how many like actual case numbers I have or whatever that's called,
Do you
but
have the case numbers?
not on me, no.
Do you have the request for service numbers?
Not on me, no. But I have the card from Monday, not with me, but I do have that number.
You have a rental property in the neighborhood, right? Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and it's, as I'm recalling, it's adjacent in a sense to where she resides. It's like right in that same area.
You like me to answer?
Yeah.
Yes, from the end of the driveway, her apartment would be visible. When she says
I recall that. I was trying to make sure I was recalling that part of it correctly. All right. Okay, and so ma'am, I was at the point, what do you want me to do?
Something. I'm tired of him contacting me. He could have gone to any other networking event. He didn't have to go to one that I was putting on. And if he was actually there for work, then he should have been networking instead of just leaving 5 minutes after checking in. But he stood in line to see me and contact me, and there's a witness to that.
Why he stood in line, do you?
Why did he leave 5 minutes after then if he was there for work? And I have a witness to the whole thing.
Pardon?
I have a witness to the whole thing.
Who's your witness?
The person that was sitting next to me.
And who is that?
What's her name?
Yes.
Her name is Aylin Walters.
She available?
Not today,
How do you know?
because I asked her.
When would she be available?
I don't know.
Do you have contact information for this Miss Walters that you could share with Miss Polera?
I do.
All right. Okay, anything else you want to tell me? All right, thank you. All right, sir. And I know you're represented by, no, you're okay, come on.
You need your glasses, Mr. Stevens.
I think I know what's on, yeah.
Let's have him sworn.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Jason Stevens.
Stevens. And if at any point you're uncomfortable answering any of the questions the court has, then you've got counsel here. Do you recall being in the, I guess, Ann Arbor Art Center in March?
Yes.
Why? Why were you there?
I have brought with me the contract signed for my company to install an exhibition there in March.
Can I see that? I mean,
it also includes a timeline on the front page and correspondence with Ms. Morley's employer about the exhibition.
Hold on. So you were supposed to be there regarding an event. There's a contract regarding the event.
That is correct.
That's why you were there in March.
Yes.
All right. And then, well, let me ask you in March, did you see her at all?
I was not aware she worked there until her employer called and told me.
When did that happen?
The week before installation was supposed to happen.
She said she worked there. You were told that she worked there?
Yes.
Were you told? Well, how'd that conversation go? Why? Well, let me ask you this. Why did their employer then tell you that?
Apparently, Ms. Morley told her employer, the director of the Ann Arbor Art Center, that she had a restraining order against me and that I wasn't allowed into her place of work. Her employer, knowing that I was there to install an exhibition, called me in a bit of a panic, and we talked about it on the Friday before installation.
Okay, and what between the employer and yourself, what, when you say you talked about it, what was worked out regarding that?
The fact that, well, the employer asked that I not come into the building.
Okay.
Of course, that created a difficult situation because I had a responsibility in the building and an exhibition that was opening a week later. So we had to work out how that work would actually get done without me being able to be in the building. My coworkers did not want to go after they learned about this, so we had to find a surrogate to do that work. We ended up working through other people. I worked remotely. I did not go into the building, despite this being a physical job, but it all came off okay, so.
Well, hold on a second. Were you in the building in March then?
Before that phone call, I was going in and meeting with people to talk about the logistics.
That's what I'm trying to clear up.
Yeah.
The mid-March point, you heard the testimony was Morley. Had you been told at that point that she worked there?
No.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure. I wanted to make sure I had my timing right. So then you're told that, well, her employer or the director of the building calls you, tells you that. And even though you had contracted to do this installation, right? Did you enter the building after that?
Nope. Have not been back since.
Got it. Okay. And then what happened? Do you recall April 25th event?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. What do you want to tell me about that? Did you go, I think it was on South Industrial or something?
Place called Venue.
Yeah.
Used to be a grocery store, I think. I was on a podcast with a fellow. I met the fellow and learned that he was speaking at this event, a new professional networking event that was being hosted at Venue. I decided I would go check it out. Saw another colleague earlier in the week. She said she was going. I said, cool, I'll meet you there. Went to that event at 8:30. I was actually there right at 8:30. When I walked in, I saw that Kashmir Morley was checking people in, but she was one of two people. I stepped aside, waited for the other woman's line to empty. I went up to her. I checked in. She complimented my hat.
Who did?
The woman that I checked in with. Apparently her name is Lynn Walters.
Okay.
She complimented my hat. I said, thank you. I made it myself. And then I went into another room where the actual event was taking place, grabbed a glass of water, went into that room, saw the friend that I had agreed to meet there, saw another couple of people. And I did leave before the event started, before Hein actually began talking. I left through a side door because I didn't want to be in the same room as Ms. Morley. And that was it.
So you didn't, I guess it would have been the front is where you came in.
Yeah, right by the front.
You didn't leave out the front.
Nope.
So what you're telling me is the reason you left is because she was there and that at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, at some point, given that she was part of that event, she was going to be in that same room as you. And you were trying to avoid that.
Yes, I would say generally her presence was making me uncomfortable.
Okay.
I should add, I don't see her name on anything related to the event. She said she was hosting it, but that's not clear.
Do you have that with you?
So that I can explain. I added a page that's the podcast we were on. The next page is the LinkedIn post where I learned about the event. Her name is nowhere in that post. There's another internet article about the event. Her name is nowhere in that article. So.
But the reality is you're not learning about this event from the internet or anything like that. You learn about it from somebody that you did a podcast with.
Yeah. Yeah. He was
basically verbally learn about it.
Yeah. And then I saw it on LinkedIn.
Got it. Okay. And when you saw it on LinkedIn, her name is not here. Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
So prior to your arrival, you didn't know she would be there.
No idea.
Anything else you want to tell me about this?
Not really.
On this one.
Anything else? I have no other violations or anything.
Your Honor, Ms. Morley, indicates that the LinkedIn posts indicate her name on the notice. On the LinkedIn.
Yeah, and on the events page, my name is listed as an organizer.
Okay, I got a question. Why do you think he was trying to get to you?
Because he's been trying to do this the whole time he's been doing this. That was why he left a letter, that's why he emailed me, he's trying to contact me, that's why it shows he can.
Hold on, I just asked you. What other contact has occurred with the credit here between June or July? Just make sure I get my notes right. Between July 8th of 2024 to present. Any direct contact that he's had?
I don't understand how many times I have to be contacted in order for it to matter.
That's, you need to answer get up to the podium. You need to answer my question. You keep saying it keeps happening. You keep using these large phrases, but never giving me any specifics. So what I'm trying to figure out is how many other times from the time that he was sentenced, that's the date I'm using, up to say March or even April, how many times has he contacted you?
This has been the first direct time he's contacted me since July.
Okay, so then my question is, from that date you didn't see him, but heard about him in the building at work in March, did he appear in the building after that at your work?
After what date?
You said it was sometime in mid-March that you heard he was in the building. Did that occur again?
I don't know, not that I saw.
So I'm to understand that between the time I sentenced him and this date, or the April 25th date, there's been no contact.
Okay. Yes.
And on that date, at least as I see it, we can at least agree that he entered. You're saying it was because of your actions. He's saying it's because of his actions. But regardless of that, you were not the person that checked him in. Somebody else, as Miss Walters, checked him in.
He tried to get me to check him in, and when I didn't contact him, because he walked up to me and said good morning to me and looked at me and said good morning and tried to have me check him into an event that I was hosting. That's how I know. He didn't look at Miss Walters, he looked at me.
And the other thing that we can, well, you're not agreeing to that, but the other thing that we can agree, he did go off and the event was taking place in another room. And then, at least as I listened to both of you, he left shortly thereafter.
That's correct.
He didn't, would you agree, didn't come back out the front where you were? He somehow or another left the event.
Yes.
And your thought is, well, what is your thought about why he left the event?
I don't know why he left if he was there for work. There to network. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so your belief is that he came to the event to see you.
Yes.
Saw you, went into the event, that by your understanding of this, he really had no intention really to be at, because his sole intention was to see you?
I think his intention was to show up and show me that he can be around me no matter what, because nothing is getting done about this. That's what I think his intention was.
Where do you get that from?
The fact that he stood in line longer to see me, to get me to check him in, than he was at the event. That's what makes me feel that way.
All right, thank you. Ms. Anderson, anything you want to say on behalf of your client at this point?
Your Honor, I haven't heard anything that gives rise to any direct or indirect contact. She's referenced the events, two separate events, the March 2025 event. Doesn't appear that she even knew that he was in the building. I don't see anything that gives rise to any contact. She didn't see him, he didn't speak directly with him, and my client has presented information that he was there for work purposes. Once he found out that she was there, he found ways to work remotely, which would indicate, to me at least, that he was trying to comply with the court's orders with regards to that. The April event, again, he's there for networking. I mean, it's almost in that situation a lose-lose for Mr. Stevens. She's complaining that he stayed only 10 minutes, and if he had stayed the full event, that also would have been a problem. Your Honor, I don't see anything that gives rise to any violation of probation, and I would ask the court to dismiss this.
I'm gonna step out for a moment. Miss Valera, can you call AAPD and ask them
Yes, I will.
about requests for service from Monday and those before?
Yes.
And what, yeah, can you? If they can get us a list, and guys, give me about 15 minutes and let her do that. And you got the contact information from Mr. Walters, Ms. Flair?
I will get it from her.
Okay, and can you see if you can reach out to her too? I know I'm giving you a lot.
That's okay.
All right, and then we'll reconvene. I'll come back on short. Thank you. Court's in standing recess.
All right.
Nobody else. No, you're okay. You're good. Don't worry about it. Ms. Anderson, we're close, and I need oh, is she talking to Teresa? Yeah, that man. Okay. Yes, please. We're back on the record in the case of the People versus Jason Stevens. He's present with counsel, and so is Morley present. The court took a brief recess, and I asked for Ms. Valera to check a couple things for me, Ms.
Yeah, sure. And I do have that information for the court. As far as reaching the witness, Ms. Walters, I did leave a message. There was no answer, so I wasn't able to get through with her. As for the calls for service to Ann Arbor PD, they had 3 that they were able to provide. One was on May 5th, which is the probation violation report from today's hearing. There was one from May 12th, this past Monday. They indicated there was no report, just notes for that call of service. There was notes say, saw the defendant drive by one time, no violation because he owns property down the street. They had nothing other than that since July of 2024 with a call for service, no report, notes were possible harassment, no action taken. Probation also wants
just, and so we can clarify, the July date would have been right around when he was sentenced.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And probation also wants to make the court aware, Mr. Stevens did report to probation the incident that happened in early March where he was in the building doing work. He reported that to my office, indicating the same that he testified today, just so the court is aware.
That he was in the building, then informed later that she worked there.
Correct. And so he wanted that known and reported. So Mr. Stevens did report that to my office.
Okay. Court's ready to rule. And I'm just gonna maybe be painfully blunt regarding this. I, because of my docket, have numerous people reporting incidents of contact, incidents of harassment, incidents of those kinds of things, and have to try to deal with them and sort them out. Sometimes it turns on the little things as to what transpired because I'm not there. But other times it's real clear that somebody has had contact. Other times it also is clear in the opposite direction that there was no intended contact. Some contact may have been incidental or very short-lived. As I listen to the parties in this case, I'll just say this. Ma'am, I don't know why you have this belief that Mr. Stevens is spending his life trying to be near you. I don't think that's the case at all. Certainly not by any of what I've been shown today. And quite frankly, you lied to this court. Yes, ma'am, you have. I don't want you shaking your head because you're playing with the wrong judge. You are playing with the wrong judge. I am dealing with people's liberty, with their freedom. And it is with sometimes a heavy heart that I have to restrict people's freedom, or I have to take somebody's freedom and their liberty. And I don't want to do it where I don't have to. I particularly don't want to do it where somebody comes before the court complaining of something that is just so unbelievable and at times twisted as to what's going on. Mr. Stevens, quite frankly, if he were not one to want to tell me the truth about what happened, the very fact, and I'll just deal with the March date, the very fact you never see him, but somebody says he's there, he could have gotten up before me, he could have said, I was never in that building. And just say that. There's not going to be anybody that's going to show that he's in that building necessarily. He'll just say, I wasn't there. He doesn't do that. And in fact, gets before this court, explains the entire circumstance of when he's in the building, then does the right thing once he's informed that you work there. He does two things right. One is he doesn't go back to the building and has to logistically try to figure out a way to fulfill his obligations under his contract. But he does that because of this court's order. He purposely doesn't violate that. He doesn't try to use the contract as some excuse to then go back into the building saying, well, I had to go there and I was just going to work. He doesn't do any of that. He just stays away. That's the first thing that he did that was right. The second thing that he did that was correct in that regard is that he, when it came time for him to report to probation, understanding he had had no police contact regarding that event, nothing really comes out of it, but he reports it to his probation officer that this transpired and that this is what I had to do. I've read that report that he submitted. It is almost verbatim what he told me today, not knowing that today was going to even manifest itself in this, he already reported that that's what happened. And that this is what then actions he took to make sure he wasn't there. So your indication, and it's just misguided that it is that he came there looking for you, is just wrong. It just simply is wrong. He was not looking for you. He was just trying to do his job or do his work, found out he couldn't because you were there, and then stayed away and had to figure out some other way to do it. Then we get to the April 25th date. The April 25th date, I guess the only thing I can say regarding Mr. Stevens' behavior is I wish he had done something different. And that is that upon getting to the door, seeing you, I wish he had turned around and walked back out. I don't know, quite frankly, that would have prevented us from being here, but certainly I would have wished that he did. But I understand what he did do. And what he did, this is, again, identical to what he indicated to probation, but he also said it to this court today under oath. He goes in, you don't check him in. I believe him when he says, I stepped to the side to wait for the other one, because I think you have some fixation on him or his, or what he's thinking. And you can keep shaking your head all you want, because I can go all day. Because I think there's something wrong in this whole thing. I believe him that he stepped to the side, checked in. You then take some and make some nefarious argument about him coming there to see you. Why? Because he didn't stay for the whole event. Well, he didn't stay for the whole event as he reported to probation. And the other thing is that he went in, gave his greetings and goodbyes basically to the people that he was supposed to meet there, and then left. And then made the conscious decision, because you were there, not to go back out the way I came in. He just left out a side door and said, I'm out. As I said, the only thing I wish he had done, but again, I don't know that would have prevented us from being here, is to just at the front door have turned around and left. But I get why he didn't, because he had told people that he was going to be there. He was just going to go in, do this, get out. He wasn't going to stay there. Thing. I believe him when he says, I was going to be uncomfortable if she was in that same event. And he got himself out. That is consistent, quite frankly, in a lot of ways, with what he did in March. There's absolutely no, this court sees it, no violation that this court could take any action. But then when I look at it, you kept saying, and I was cautioning you on this one, ma'am, or you were addressing the court, that you keep saying these sort of grand statements about him, that it's always, I want this to stop, I want whatever. And I'm saying, well, what other events have there been? And I specifically recall us dealing with his rental property and the fact of its location vis-a-vis where you live. I remember looking at a map because somebody telling me where it can be seen and where he goes up, and you knew he had rental property there, and then had the nerve to say to me today, well, I want the address because I'm not. We went through that whole thing in July in excruciating detail. You know he has it there. And how do I also know that you know he has it there? the Monday call to the police, which by the way is really suspicious because I don't have any calls for service except at the time of his sentencing, just this general harassment thing, which they didn't take any action on. And then Monday. Here's the interesting thing about Monday. That call comes into the Ann Arbor Police Department at 6 p.m. on the same date that my staff set this hearing. We set the hearing at approximately a little after 12 that day, but via email to Ms. Polero. By 6 o'clock, I then all of a sudden have some complaint against this gentleman with the Ann Arbor Police, as though you had to sort of bolster some issue against him. Then you exaggerated, if not perjured yourself under oath before this court when I'm asking, how many calls have you made? Well, here's the thing you may not realize. Any police department you call will have detailed notes of what they did in their response to service, which is when you said how many times you had called, I asked Ms. Polero to check that out. There's only 3. Since the time of sentencing, there's only 2. One being your report of this April 25th date, which didn't happen until the 5th. And then a week later, another call to the Ann Arbor Police Department, frankly, in response to this court setting a hearing and trying to drive and make a case against this gentleman. You lied to me. Just out and out lied. You haven't been calling the police. You haven't been doing any of that. And quite frankly, because there are serious cases of victims that come before this court that are harassed by people, they may not get the facts right. They may not understand certain things, but they will tell the court from their perspective what happened. But one thing I've never found, while I may not quite, they might have the facts of the law, I've never found just a blatant lie like this, ever. Saying that somebody has harassing you to such a point that, yes, I've had to call the police this many times. You haven't called the police. He wasn't there at that April 25th incident to see you. He was there to go to that event. Your weird belief that somehow or another his reason for going there was because he saw your name and decided to just gallivant down there, let me see if she's there. Seriously? I am not finding a violation. And young lady, I'm going to tell you, and I just have to think about it, but I may end up sanctioning you for lying to this court. If you got something real to bring this about somebody, I don't mind you coming here. But we've been sitting here for the last almost an hour and 45 minutes trying to deal with this. All of this being mistruths and just lies about him. So while you may try to turn him into something evil, you may think he's the proverbial devil in terms of who he is. This court does not view him this way. He has been a model probationer. He has done everything. He's gone way beyond what most probationers do in reporting things that weren't crimes, but certainly something that he thought probation should know of. And the great thing about him doing that, certainly it saved him today, just by putting it out there. So the court's going to find no violation. I'm done with this. And if there's something else that comes up, then we'll deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started on that, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mama Wolfie. Everybody say happy birthday to Mama Wolfie with me. Happy birthday to you. Hey guys, that's our show. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a crazy one. It's been an interesting one. This was a big week in court tube viewing, right? I mean, I didn't see all those when they happened. I saw bits and pieces here and there while I was putting other videos together, but man, all those cases we watched today, Boyd, Webster, Simpson, they all had a little something different. They all featured some pretty angry ladies, and they all got handled quite differently by some very effective and knowledgeable judges who know what they're doing and know how to handle their courtrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon, this morning, this lunchtime, this brunch. Mama and I both appreciate it. We're here for you every Saturday doing a live weekend review of court cases, doing something like this. I am your Lone Wolf Usul. I am your curator for this here repository of videos you find on my channel, and I'm the host for Lone Wolf's Weekend Review. I'm the guy behind the avatar. Come hang out with us. We do a live chat every night of the week at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. We hang out every Saturday here at the same time, 11 a.m. Central Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And I love that. That's just great. Hey, happy birthday, Mama. Coming to see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with me this morning. As you can tell, I have other business to take care of for the rest of the day. There will be more videos. I've got a nice big long one coming out later. Another interesting case, this time actually from Judge Wolf himself. Come hang out with us. Watch that case with us. And I'll see you next time right here on Lone Wolf's Court Gallery. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll see you later. I'm Lone Wolf Usul, and I'm out.